Blog Talk Radio.
Down to sleep, lay me down. I pray my soul is mine to keep. My soul can never step outside this bed, never into all the evil. Now back from the dead.
Are you scared?
He's here.
The calling hours.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Episode of the Calling Hours Horror Podcast on Horror Society Radio. This is your host, the Head Undertaker, the Dead Man Michael Jones of HorrorSociety.com and Living Dead Magazine. What's going on, world? It's going to be another great episode this evening. Tonight, we're going to have my buddy, producer and director Ryan Stacy and the lovely actress Mandy Lou on. And they're going to talk to us about a new project that they have coming up. Those of you that know Ryan are familiar with it. For those of you that aren't familiar, you should know Ryan's name from Midsummer Nightmares and Watch This. And, of course, Mandy Lou was in both of those and the Babysitter Murders. So we're going to talk about their new project. We're going to talk about everything that's going on with them. And we'll go over their careers a little bit. Like I said, for those of you that are new listeners or new fans of theirs, this will definitely be something for you to learn something about some independent filmmakers. In Digital Dismemberment this evening, we're going to be covering Scream Factory's Blu-ray release of The Dark Half. And we're going to cover Lionsgate DVD Blu-ray release of Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. And that'll tie into Living Dead Magazine as well, since the next issue we're focusing on Rob Zombie and his work, and I thought it would be appropriate to do the Blu-ray review. So, yeah, I'll be doing a retrospective for House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects for that, and I also have a small interview segment with Bill Moseley for that issue. So as the time comes closer, I will let you know about the release info for that DVD. And like I said as well, in the second feature, we will be covering Scream Factory's Blu-ray release of The Dark Half. And man, I haven't seen that movie since it came out, and it's refreshing to see that. So I think that'll be an interesting Blu-ray review as well. We will also be featuring several metal bands in our Metal Blade Spotlight. But we're going to start it off first with some Rivers of Nihil. The name of the CD is The Conscious Seed of Light. The song is Soil and Seed.
Rooted by the earth.
You just heard the band Aeon from the CD Aeon's Black. The song was Dead Means Dead. And we open that up with Rivers of Nihil. The CD was The Conscious Seed of Light. The song was Soil and Seed. We'll have some more Metal Blade later on throughout the evening. But now it's time for a little digital dismemberment.
Digital dismemberment.
And in our first digital dismemberment spotlight for the evening, we are going to be highlighting Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. This is the Lionsgate Blu-ray edition. Two young couples take a misguided tour onto the back roads of America in search of a local legend known as Dr. Satan. Lost and stranded, they are set upon by a bizarre family of psychotics, murderers, cannibalism, and satanic rituals are just a few of the 1,000-plus horrors that await. And, I have to come out and say, this is one of my all-time favorite movies, To me, I remember hearing about it when Rob first started having it made back in 2000, and I remember hearing that it got shelved for a while. MGM had some concerns over the rating for the film. And, being a hardcore horror fan, I can always find something in the industry that I like. But I was really excited to have Rob's vision come to the screen. I'd always been a fan of his music. I'm much more of a Rob Zombie fan than a White Zombie fan, but still I appreciate, both sides of the coin when it comes to his work. And I was excited to see what his vision would be for a director. And, you got that gritty, textual feeling from seeing a lot of it. He was influenced by, the 50s and 60s style of horror animation. You could tell that he was into the exploitation style of films. That's what influenced him and his music. So to me, it was a natural progression to see him bring that element into this film. An absolutely fantastic cast. I mean, Bill Moseley, of course, as Otis, is the character that will forever and always jump out at me. I mean, just absolutely amazing. Sid Haig as Captain Spaulding. I mean, that opening sequence to the film, it just, it spoke to me. I haven't felt that way since, the first time I watched a lot of the 70s style of exploitation film, and there was just something about the way that Rob captured that whole moment in time, and how he keeps that pace throughout the film. I really enjoyed Cherry Moon Zombie in the film as Baby. I think she brought that whole cute evil to a whole nother level that is not easy to achieve. She is absolutely stunning and beautiful, but at the same time, she's just this cold-blooded, psychotic woman, and it's an interesting mix to say Karen Black as Mother Firefly. Just stunning portrayal. Especially the interaction between her and Baby as mother and daughter. I really felt that the time that they shared on screen, especially during the Marilyn Monroe type dance scene that goes on in the fight between Baby and one of the other characters, the way that her and Karen interacted in that scene, their characters were, you felt like it was a family. The sheer brutality of the film was something I'd like to see too. Rob really wasn't afraid to swing for the fences, and there are moments of the film that are quite brutal and quite sadistic, and Rob knows how to draw that scene out to give it its most emotional impact. The choice of the soundtrack was interesting. Some people complained that he did the majority of the soundtrack. I kind of get that, being a creative outlet for him, music, and now doing film. I can see in his head while he's trying to formulate ideas how he's shooting a film, how he'd want the music to be, and being a musician, that certainly tied in. I don't feel like it hurt at all. And you had a great cast of other characters in the film as well. And if it just created a unique blend, a unique feel. I feel like it was different. A lot of people argue the fact, it's a lot like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a lot like this. It's a lot like that. I don't know. I mean, Leatherface and the family will always be iconic characters, and I feel like when you watch House of a Thousand Corpses, you will get that same impression from them. And again, I think that's a key thing is a lot of times in horror films when families are involved, you still feel like it's over-the-top acting. I feel like all of these people were members of a family, and it really played well, and of course that leads well into the sequel, which we will talk about at another time. But I think Lionsgate did a pretty good job with this disc. Of course, the film is 1080 DP high definition, 16 by 19 widescreen version as well. It's got the 7.1 DTS HD audio and the 5.1 Dolby Digital Surround EX audio. There's, of course, the director's commentary. There's a nice making-of featurette. The casting footage is kind of fun to watch, the rehearsal footage. You have your cast and crew interviews, the theatrical trailer, and there's a weird little interactive game on there. It's a little hard to play. It's called Zombietron, but, it was a lot of fun. There's so much to like about this film and everything that Rob put into it. I think a lot of people just hated on it to hate on it. The film really didn't get a lot of buzz when it came out. It was never screened. Very little commercials for it. Feel like if it was promoted a little bit better, I think the film, certainly back when it first came out, would have gotten a little bit more, but definitely destined to be a cult classic and a movie that should be on every collector's shelf. As far as the film goes, I mean, this is right up my alley. Rob manages to combine modern elements with exploitation-style elements. Pulled together an amazing cast and crew. I thought the script was amazing. I felt like the film went somewhere. I felt like even in the hyper-violence that we saw, and as the story continued into The Devil's Rejects, it kind of ties the two together, and I'm not going to give anything away by explaining that until I review The Devil's Rejects. But a lot of what you see in this sets up a lot in the second film, and it really changes your dynamic and your scope. Like I said, the element of family being family in this was absolutely stunning. I would give the film a 9 out of 10. I mean, it is certainly a film that I would sit down and I can watch several times over and over. It was that enjoyable. I would give Lionsgate an 8 out of 10 when it comes to the features. Again, having the behind-the-scenes footage, the casting footage, everything that's on there, is really nice. The one thing that I do miss, and it was on the standard edition DVD, was the animated menus, and it was Captain Spaulding talking all the shit that he talks. I think that was a great element and maybe should have been redone or brought onto this. But, it's a small thing, but again, it would have been nice to have seen it. You can head over to Lionsgate.com and pick up a copy of this. Most stores, especially around Halloween time, you should be able to go into your brick and mortars. I believe I got my copy at Walmart for $5 one day in one of the bins. So definitely pick this up. You can get it on Amazon, anywhere that you buy your films. So definitely run out and buy your copy. And like I said, keep an eye out for the next issue of Living Dead magazine. I have a retrospective on House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects, as well as an interview with Bill Moseley. And like I said, when more details on that issue come up, I will certainly let you know. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we're going to go into our feature interview with producer and director Ryan Stacy and actress Mandy Lou. We're going to talk about some projects, including Ladies' Night and the proposed full-length sequels / however you want to put that. We'll definitely be talking about their past projects together, Midsummer Nightmares, and Watch This. I definitely want to ask Mandy Lou about the Babysitter Murders. But before we get to all that, we're going to go into another double shot of Metal Blade music. We're going to start off with some Amon Amarth off of the CD Deceiver of the Gods, the song We Shall Destroy. off of their CD, The Rites of Perversion. That song was Open Casket, Death. And before that, we opened it up with some Amon Amarth. The CD was Deceiver of the Gods. The song is We Shall Destroy. But it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for our feature interview this evening. We have on my friend, producer and director, Ryan Stacy. And this young actress who, if those of you remember correctly, back in July of 2013, took part in My Deadly Beauty, Whores, Scream Queens, and Rising Talent. Amanda Collins, Miss Mandy Lou, is here with us. Guys, how you doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Well, Ryan, you've been on before, certainly, and, we have a lot to cover. It's been a little while since we've talked, and Mandy, it was great to interview you back then for the series. I'm glad to have you on now. It's nice to see that you're working with Ryan. I know that you're going to have a lot of fun working with him. But before we get really, really heavy into anything, Mandy, tell everyone about how you became involved with horror films.
I became involved in horror films back in 2011. I started out as a model with the Midwest Bikini Team, and I just decided I wanted to do something a little more involved than just still pictures and still frames. So I started looking up casting calls, and I came across Midsummer Nightmares. They were casting, and I went and auditioned, and that was my first role, was the role of Michelle in Midsummer Nightmares. And when I stepped foot on that set, I was like, I'm done. I love it. So that's what led me there.
Was it always horror for you though, or did you just want to do acting in general? Is there something specifically about the genre that attracts you to it?
I love the genre. I think there's a lot of different avenues you can go as far as playing the victim versus the killer. I love both aspects in that. But I do want to branch out some to get more experience and broaden your horizons, things like that.
Now, Ryan, for you, of course, you cast Mandy for, Midsummer Nightmares. Kind of tell us about how you found her, and when you met her, how did you know she was perfect for the role?
Well, actually, Sean Burkett found her, I believe, on Model Mayhem, and
yes.
she had answered his casting call there. And so he called me one night and said, "We got an actress coming to audition for this part," and this was like the last role we needed to fill. And so I was really hopeful that she would be the one. And so I rushed home to Sean's after work, and Mandy walked in the door, and there was just something special about her. I mean, she just had this really dry sarcasm about her that just really kind of got well with me, and she really got the part. And she played this kind of saucy slut with just this incredible amount of dry humor that just really tickled me, and so that's how Mandy got the part.
That's just funny. I just love the way you put that, Ryan.
Well, it didn't help that she was really pretty, and when I met Amanda, weren't you like a blonde?
I was a blonde transitioning to a brunette at that point.
Yeah, your hair was really super light.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's just funny to me.
You don't even look the same.
No, I did not.
Well, you guys have worked together on a couple of projects together. You also went on to work together in Watch This, of course, in the Ladies' Night segment.
Yes.
Was it always a natural progression? Did you know right away that you were going to bring Mandy in for that?
Absolutely. Ladies' Night started out as like this weird little thing I just started writing pretty soon after we finished post-production on Midsummer Nightmares. And I just always saw this like kind of very striking, like raven-haired girl to play this character Frankie I was writing. And one day I just told Amanda about this script. I hadn't told her much or told anybody much about the idea for this except Sean, and told her I was going to turn this into a short film, and she read everything that I had written. I have a ton of stuff written featuring these girls, and Amanda just fell in love and was like, can I please play Frankie? And I said, well, that's kind of why I wanted you to read it.
Now, what was it in particular for you, Mandy, that made you want to play the role? What was it in what you read said, yes, this is what I want?
I just love everything about Frankie. She's a strong presence, but in the earlier she's more quiet and just sexy and deadly, and I loved everything about it. I was very drawn to her for that strong presence that she had. And, of course, she's sarcastic, then.
Well, and Amanda also, if you remember when I first had written her, Frankie, each girl had a specific thing that they liked to do, and Frankie, she would, kill these guys and then paint portraits of their deaths with their blood. And that was her thing, and Amanda's a painter, and she was like, I have to be her.
Hey, I see how that could reach out and touch you. I can see that. There's a certain quality to that.
There is.
Now, I remember we had talked a couple months back, and, there was talks of, I don't know if you want to call it a sequel, if you want to call it a full-length feature with the characters of Ladies' Night. And, there were talks of me coming up and maybe doing makeup for that, and things kind of got put on hold. Now, we talk about it to the comfort level that you feel comfortable talking about it. Kind of what happened with that project, and, kind of tell everyone how it's being resurrected.
Well, the project you just referenced it was just a short film that I wanted to do. I hadn't done anything since Midsummer 2, and so I was like, I really want to do the Ladies' Night Before Christmas and just do this full-out holiday madness kind of thing. And we got I assembled a production team. I had roles cast, and we really got into it. And we just decided this short is really big. Why not just stop where we're at and kind of just make a feature-length film, because of the time and the effort that was going to be put into this one short. On top of the money, it just made more sense to pursue this as a feature-length film. And I'm not ruling out Ladies' Night Before Christmas totally. I think that would be something fun to release maybe after Ladies' Night's movie if everybody likes these girls enough.
Interesting enough. Now you've gone on to make a new production company, have you not?
Yes, I have.
Do you want to?
I can talk about it. It's in the planning stages. I mean, it's called Ragnarok Pictures. I chose that name because Ragnarok means the end of all things, and I just felt like I was personally at a point in my life where I wanted to make a total and complete change, and so that name just kind of stuck with me, and so that's where it came from. And that's how that company came to be.
Now, for you, Mandy, you've certainly gone on to do, other acting, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about Halloween, the Babysitter Murders. Can you tell me a little bit about that whole series? Because I haven't had a chance to see it yet, and of course, you play the role of Annie Brackett in that. So, can you kind of tell us how that project came to be and how you became involved with it?
No, actually, I wasn't involved with the prior installments of the Babysitter Murders, but I have worked with Studio 605 before, and I know them. They're great guys, and actually Jack Norman approached me with the role and offered it to me, and I was more than happy. I thought it would be a great thing to play Annie Brackett. I'm really excited about it. As far as what's going to happen, I don't really know at this point. We don't begin filming on that project until I think around March. But as far as the previous ones, I didn't have a lot of involvement with those. I did watch them. They were very, very, very well put together. I liked them. I enjoyed it.
Now, of course, I'm looking at your IMDb, and we know how IMDb can be, but you're slated for 2016 pre-production on something called Grieving. Do you have any information on that one?
Grieving, yes. We actually filmed that a couple months ago. Grieving is by writer-director Devin Hilton. He was a graphic novelist. He's a noted graphic novelist turned writer. And Grieving it's a story about two hitmen that kill a fallen angel, and it becomes more of a broader mystery arises from this killing, and more things start happening to each of the hitmen. And it's a suspense thriller sort of movie, and I play the part of Trish. So I'm very excited for that one. It's slated to come out in 2016, but we have filmed on that one already.
Now, what I'd like to talk to you about both for a few minutes, especially for those of you that may not have caught you on an earlier show, Ryan, kind of talk about the aspect of not only owning your own production company, but you talked about the time and the effort it would take to go into making the short, and hey, why don't we make a feature film out of it? Kind of talk to people through what the process is like as an independent filmmaker, where you don't have all of that studio backing, and everything has to be done on a certain timetable in a certain way.
Well, I mean, it's hard, and what I have found interesting is I've gotten to do this process twice, where you are starting out completely fresh, and you're right, you have no money, you have no backing. But what's nice is once you get established, once you start going, you start networking, you start making friends, important contacts, and you really find that it's easier to do the things that you want to do with your project and with your film, and how the more established you become, the more people believe in you and are more willing to give you that extra cushion that you don't have as an independent filmmaker. And I'm seeing that now, starting Ragnarok now, coming off of working with Concept Media for 3 years. Like it's scary either way you look at it from the beginning, but just hang tight, and it all works out.
Now, for you, Mandy, as an actress, when you look at someone like Ryan and you look at the time and the effort that they're putting into it, you as an actress, what really draws you to want to work with people like that, as opposed to just people who make it business as usual?
People like Ryan and like Devin Hilton as well, and everybody I've worked with, I work with them because of their passion. They're writing, they're putting their heart and soul into this, and it shows. I want to do my best for them to bring this character and this story to life, because they're so passionate about it. It makes me passionate about it, and I think that's the main reason. Business is business, and that gets really boring and annoying. But when you're passionate about it, it makes it more fun. You're not looking at it like a job. It becomes...
Right. Well, I certainly agree with you on that. Now, of course, you mentioned that you've done modeling.
Yes.
You've been an actress. Have you given any thought to stepping behind the camera yourself? Do you ever see yourself in that creative position?
I wouldn't rule it out. It's not something I look for in the immediate future, but I do write. I'm working on a children's series right now.
Nice.
But I wouldn't rule it out in the future, but definitely not in my game plan right now. I'm having too much fun doing the acting. I really enjoy that right now.
Oh, no, I mean, I understand that. I know plenty of people who feel the same way. Now, Ryan, for you, it's a little bit different. For at the beginning when I introduced you as the director and producer, but people may not realize, you've done some acting.
Would we call it that?
Well, hey, if it's on your IMDb, it must be true, right? It says it in big blue letters. Producer, director, writer, but then you've also acted. You've done your own, you've been your own casting director. You've done special effects. I mean, for Bludgeon, and I know some of the guys that were involved with that. It's kind of funny how things all tie together, but kind of talk about it from that perspective where, Amanda is pretty much focused right now on the acting aspect of it. You're producing, you're directing, you're writing, you're acting, you're doing all of these things. Kind of give people an idea of that perspective of juggling that many balls at one time during one production.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Like when I've done the effects work, I wasn't directing that. That was actually one of Sean Burkett's films, and so it wasn't so stressful to do the effects work if somebody else is directing. I don't mess with that when I am directing, but the producing, and all that, it's stressful. The casting is actually probably the most fun thing to me. It's one of the funnest jobs I've done, because you just get to sit there and, especially I guess I'm biased because a lot of the times when I've done the casting, directing, it's for one of my films. So I'm watching all of these different people come in and do different things with the stuff I've written, and sometimes their interpretations are terrible, and sometimes it's just this magic, and I only need one audition out of them, kind of like when I found Mandy or Kelsey C. Magel, who was in a couple of my films. So
now for you, Mandy, when Ryan talks about his writing and how he was giving it to you to read almost as a hint, saying, this is you, this is you. How do you respond as an actress when basically something is written with you in mind? How do you find ways to make the nuances of the character your own?
Basically, well, first of all, it's an honor anytime somebody comes to me with a script and says, hey, I've got you in mind for this. I'm always appreciative of that and very humbled by that. Basically, I'll talk to Ryan. I'll be like, okay, in your mind, how do you see her? And then I'll take what Ryan says, and then I'll add a bit of how I see it and kind of mesh and mold those two together. And, of course, I'll ask him, I'll be like, is this what you're thinking? I want him to, ultimately, he has the final say. So I try to just bring my own thing to it, but keeping in mind what he has envisioned for the character.
Now, for both of you, since, you brought that up, it sounds like when you two work together, you have a very open dialogue, and that you listen to one another. From a director's end, and from an actress's end, can you both talk about how important it is to have that ability to have that kind of open communication with your director and your actress?
Well, actually, that's one of the things that I kind of expect out of my actors. I mean, the relationship I have between my actors and me as a director is I stay very close with them, and I try to give them as much time with their scripts as possible. And we talk a lot, throughout the pre-production process. That way, once we get to set and we're ready to go, those characters are there. And it's not like Mandy is there. It's Frankie is there. And Mandy and I talk all the time.
Yeah.
Every day, I think.
Oh, yeah, basically every day. And when Ryan gives us a script, we're all in different locations, so we'll do phone conferences, read-throughs over and over and over, just to make sure we're all comfortable, and, he's very accommodating in that manner.
Well, and it's nice to see. Well, it's, I've worked on sets myself where, the director was very, it's got to be this way, this way, this way, and this way. There's no room for anything. And it sounds like, the way you two work together, there's a lot of give and take. I don't want to use the word improvisation, but, does that ever come up on set? How much room do you, how much latitude do you give an actor or an actress when you're filming? And, Mandy, as an actress, when you feel an improvisation come on, how do you go about approaching it? Do you just go with it in the moment? Do you bring it up afterwards? Like I said, working with different directors, their approaches are different to things like that.
Their approaches are definitely different. Ryan he's very open to that sort of thing. Like I do like to stick with, you know, what the director wrote. They wrote that for a reason. They didn't just throw crap on paper. So I do like to stick with it. But sometimes if they word it a different way, something I wouldn't say that would sound unnatural if I were to say it, I'll be like, hey, do you mind if I maybe say this line this way? And it just feels more natural to me. And
right.
They never have a problem with that. I mean, it's very... And actually, I did this film of feature that was total improv. So that was, speaking of, that was a new and exciting challenge.
I will only, I mean, I'm pretty open. Like Mandy said, I mean, I can think of a couple instances when we were filming Ladies Night that Mandy came over to me a couple times and she said, I wouldn't say this, and I believe I let her go with the other line. But then the other line that she had to say, I was really adamant that she say it the way I scripted it. And she said, well, I wouldn't say it like that. And I said, well, luckily you're not saying it. Frankie is.
Or the one line where I had to say, oh, shit, and you're like, can you get your southern accent out of that?
Right, because you said shit.
Can you do that again and not have a twang in it?
Oh, come on, that adds depth to the character.
Well, Frankie suddenly. I think sorry, Mandy. I was just going to say, I think if any of those three characters were to be Southern, it would probably have to be Elaine.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, the blonde.
Oh, that's just funny.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you guys have the new project that you're getting ready to work on. You know, at this point, you know, and I said you wanted to make it full length, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at this point, you know, Mandy, for you, knowing who you're playing, and of course, Ryan, with, you know, what you're writing and what you have envisioning, at this point of the process, you know, is there much dialogue going on right now? Do a lot of the things you guys talk about now influence what you write, Ryan?
No, because I'm actually, for the first time since Midsummer Nightmares, I'm working with a co-writer on the feature-length version of Ladies Night, and I'm working with Brandon Pruitt of Studio 605 fame, and Brandon is just this incredible mind who thinks a lot like me in terms of envisioning a film, and I'm enjoying, like, right now Brandon and I are getting through the holidays, and we're ping-ponging ideas off each other and continuing to develop the story that I had actually started already writing over a year ago for Ladies Night, the movie. And I think Brandon and I are going to have a lot of fun, but nothing really, actually that's a lie. The only thing that really influences my writing on this project in real life, and Mandy can attest to this, is a lot of the guys who fall victim to these girls are named after ex-boyfriends.
Yes, they are.
Huh.
Oh, it's
so we won't say
in that somewhere.
Yeah, well, I mean it's fun because yeah, it's fun to see people try to pick out who is the actual ex-boyfriend and who's just some made-up name. But yeah, nothing that we're currently. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say nothing that is going on currently in my life is really influencing the story of Ladies Night, but, you know, that could change.
Now,
Somebody
someone wanted to ask you
off.
about, I know when I had spoken to you before, Ryan, I know, you know, a couple of your projects have won prizes, including, you know, Horror Society. You know, and we kind of talked about, you know, taking the films out to the convention circuits and stuff like that. And I know that's certainly what you would do with the feature-length project. You know, have you been out on any more conventions lately showing off any of your films? And, you know, what have the responses been? And Mandy, for you, have you been out on the convention circuit yet and seen what it's like?
Oh, I'm always a horror hound. Always there.
Same here.
Ryan. Go first.
No, I was gonna say same here. Like I actually went to Horror Hound in September, but that was just for fun. That was my first recreational Horror Hound in years. a convention, frankly. But no, I have not been out in the convention. The circuit here is kind of quiet.
Well, let me get your impressions on that then, since you both went to Horror Hound, you know, and you went more as consumers instead of attractions. Kind of talk about what it was like walking around as a fan at one of those events, and, you know, what did you learn from the experience that you will take with you when you start hitting the convention circuit?
Ryan, you want to go ahead?
No, you can go first, dear.
For me, it's a little different because, like, when I go, I'm going because I've gone so many times. You start building a family.
Right.
It's like you get together twice a year at Horror Hound in Indianapolis and Cincinnati, and it's like a family reunion. I go there to see everybody that either I've worked with in films or that I've met through the conventions, and it's just so much fun. It's networking, but it's like hanging out with your friends all weekend and just having a great time, and, you know, seeing the celebrities and everything. It's a lot of fun.
I feel the exact same way. I mean, like, the social events, you know, after the convention closes, I mean, they're the same. Like Mandy said, when you get to see your con family, and you really do fall in love with those people that you only see once or twice a year. But as far as walking the convention floor, it's nice knowing that I'm not cramped in that room for hours when it's real hot, because it gets hot in there. But it's really cool to stand back and see people that I know from vending all these conventions and watching them work, and just remembering that, I mean, that's their livelihood, you know. And it's neat to see everybody still thriving, even though I happen to be taking a break that weekend.
Well, you know, in that context, though, you know, being independent filmmakers yourself and actresses, you know, it's the independent circuit does really well at a lot of these events. You know, a lot of people get to see your film who probably normally wouldn't get to see it. And, you know, how does that make you feel as an independent, seeing that and knowing that the groundswelling of support is there, even if it's just in that niche? You know, does it give you hope? Does it make you dream bigger? You know, what are those things? How does that make you feel to see those things at those conventions?
It feels great.
Yeah, it's a great
really
motivator.
And
go ahead.
Well, doesn't Brandon and Roman from 605? They always say this, and this is why these guys, you know, they're doing so well and so amazing as they are, is because they have this attitude. And it's, you know, we're independent filmmakers. We should not be competing against and tearing each other apart. We should be supporting and backing each other up. And I think that is something every independent filmmaker should do, because nobody's bigger than the other. I mean, you know, and the way the independent community is and the exposure that can be gained, it's incredible, and I do think it's a wonderful thing.
And you're right. Independent films at conventions are, you know, people are seeking these things out. I remember the last time, Ryan, we had a booth set up, I believe most of the DVDs were sold out. Yeah,
they were.
It's a great opportunity.
It is. You know, and it is such a rabid fan base, you know, and it's, you know, like to me, you know, it was, I'll never forget the first time I saw one of my films in Walmart, and I was like, wow, that's just, it's so crazy. And, you know, I've never gone out and done the convention experience. That's one of the things I'm planning to do this year.
Oh, you have to, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I plan to. We don't get a lot here in Raleigh, North Carolina, so you know, with travel and everything, you got to find the right ones. But
well, I think you should definitely come to Horror Hound, and you will have a good time.
Oh, no doubt. We can get in a lot of trouble at a place like that.
Oh, you can.
Oh yes.
I'll have to go. I'll have to get you in touch with Deanna Utella, who runs Living Dead magazine. They have a convention coming up in November. going to
really?
be out in it's going to be out in Portland, I believe it is.
Oh, wow.
Oh, all of those people in Oregon will be so happy to have another convention out their way.
Oh, but it's a horror convention, horror and paranormal convention. We should definitely try to get you guys out there for that.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Well, you know,
I've never been to.
Well, yeah, I've never been to Portland, you know, and I think since I write for the magazine, I should go there and represent Horror Society and the magazine at the same time. I mean, it's only the right thing to do.
Plus, you get to have
always
like
amazing.
wicked amount of fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
sure.
it's always amazing to me how friendly everybody is at a convention, at a horror movie convention. I mean, everybody is. So they're the nicest people you ever meet. You can just walk up and strike up a conversation with a complete stranger, and you'll be friends within 5 minutes.
It's nice to meet people that have similar common interests, you know, and horror films are definitely something that people can bond over.
Yes, definitely.
Now, there's another title it says it's announced on your IMDb, and it's Home is Where the Heart Is. And that's announced for 2018. Do you have any details on that film at all?
I have. Actually, that's another Devin Hilton film. He's a great writer-director. Just a great person to work with, very friendly, very creative, and very talented. But as of right now, he has not announced anything regarding the Home is Where the Heart Is project. So I have no information as of yet.
Okay.
But as soon as I do...
As soon as you do, yes. Well, yeah, I mean, I would definitely like to hear about that. Now, you guys have mentioned 605 several times. You know, Ryan, from your viewpoint, can you tell us how you feel, merging is not the right word, but how working with them will take you to the next level? And, Amanda, can you kind of tell us about, again, how you became involved with them and, how you feel the combination of Ryan and them coming together is going to be a good thing?
Well, now, I will tell you, I am working with a couple of them at 605, but I'm not actually working with the full Studio 605 package. But these guys, they really know their shit. That's the best way I can explain it. And they just are incredible and well organized. And I mean, I'm impressed by them, and I have yet to visit one of their sets. So I will actually be doing that this summer when they're filming the Campground 2. So not filming too far from where I live, so I'm going to go pay a visit and give a hand. But those guys are incredible. You should definitely... Have you ever had them on?
No, I have not.
Oh, they're hilarious.
They're hilarious. I will send Roman and Brandon and Jack and Christian your way.
Sounds good. Now, Mandy, how about for you? Because apparently it sounds like you have some fond memories of them.
I do. They're just a great group of guys. They're extremely talented. I worked with them on a project that unfortunately will not be finished at this point, but it was up here in Cleveland. They're very professional, but at the same time they're very just easygoing, just hilarious, joking. They get shit done, but they do it so it's incredibly fun. They're
right.
They're a great group of guys. They're hilarious. I love them to death.
Well, I certainly will look forward to having them on and asking them about the two of you. So
they better say all nice things.
Yeah, they better.
Now,
actually, I wanted to tell you real quick, and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
About projects that she's working on. There is a project that me and her are also working on that is not really like officially announced. I mean, I've told people about it. People sort of know about it, but it's our first non-horror venture.
Oh, please do tell us.
It's going to be a kind of a dramatic comedy web series about this girl who is an incredible raging drunk, who ends up, she works in the recording industry as a writer and ends up costing this singer she's writing for her entire album and career, and has to go back home to her small town and dysfunctional family. Yeah. And Mandy is going to play the drunk.
Yay! I can't wait to research that one. No.
How much prep work goes into playing a drunk?
Yeah. I think the title's pretty funny. I'm calling it Drying Out.
Yeah, I love that title.
Yeah. Drying Out, because she's going to go home and get sober, allegedly, but we'll see.
Now, Mandy had kind of touched on this, talked about expanding her boundaries. What kind of led you away from the horror path for a moment?
Just basically, I would like to get experience in all aspects of acting, just to make myself a better actress and a better actor. I think if you can be versatile, you have a lot more options. You're more valuable and you're more comfortable in these roles. Drama is something I don't personally watch, but I'm really interested in doing it. It takes a lot of focus and preparation and research, and I think that'd be a great challenge.
What about for you, Ryan? What was it about this project that made you step away from the blood and the gore for a moment?
Well, basically, I had read a review once it was someone critiquing Midsummer Nightmares 2. And I had worked a really long time on that movie. And so this person's remarks they just stung. And I usually don't pay attention to critics, but this person said that they just had not seen a film by me, that they saw anything about me in it. Like, I told nothing about myself as a writer. And so I've always wanted to branch away and kind of just do more serious, less violent pieces. And I thought, well, I'll give this whole comedic dramedy thing a shot. And I just fell in love with the characters and writing it, and it was just a real hoot to read. I, in fact, went up to Cleveland one weekend and sat and worked on the script with Mandy, and we were just cutting up, having a great time. It's funny. It's really hilarious. And this girl's a monster.
And that's what I remember.
But in a fun way.
Oh, those fun monsters are the best kinds.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves the lush, so.
Now, Mandy, one of the things that I had asked you when I did the Deadly Beauty series with you is I asked you what Scream Queen had inspired you the most, and you had answered with Jamie Lee Curtis.
I did, yes. Yes. I think I love Jamie Lee. Who doesn't? She's amazing. I like her. I think my favorite would probably be Linda Blair, honestly, if I was going by acting. She's iconic. She's the Exorcist. She vomited everywhere. Her head's spun. We love it.
Split pea soup everywhere.
She did.
But what I had wanted to ask you was, Jamie got her start early in her career doing horror films, and then, she moved on to more dramatic roles. And for the longest time, she didn't talk about, her roots in the genre, and it's only just been over the last couple of years that, she's gone back and talked about it. Can you kind of talk about, how she influenced how female roles in horror films are played even to this day?
Oh, how female roles are played today. Well, shut up, Brian.
You started laughing, so I'm interested to hear your response to this.
Well, she's very talented. She's versatile, and she's just a great actress, and I think she's a great role model for aspiring actresses and up-and-coming actresses to look up to, because she did start in one genre, and she was great at it, and she's gone on to other genres, and she's dominated in those roles as well. So, I mean, she's all around just a wonderful actress. I think that's why a lot of people look up to her, and she's a great role model.
Now, for you, Ryan, I don't think I've ever asked. What's that?
Go ahead.
I loved her in the Activia commercial.
She'd kick your ass.
I was waiting for one of you to say that.
I know.
But I don't think I've ever asked you, Ryan, as a director and as a writer, who influenced you the most?
I apologize for that loud thud. I'm just getting in my car.
That's quite okay.
I'm on my way to work. I would have to say that probably the person that most influenced me as a writer would probably have to be Kevin Williamson. And I know I get knocked a lot for admiring Kevin Williamson, but what people don't understand is I really enjoy Kevin Williamson's writing and he influenced me because he was writing at a time and putting very controversial characters on television and in films that a gay kid like me growing up really needed and could really have used in pop culture, I needed somebody a little more cool in pop culture than, I don't know, Paul Lynde. And so I just I just really respected him and liked his style of writing, and I read his scripts. And so as far as a writer, yeah, but I mean, an actress who influences my writing, even though I write in horror, would have to be Meryl Streep. I just love the way that woman can she has this ability to take her lines and just make you feel them. And so I try to write my lines like that because I want my actors to feel what they're doing and what they're portraying, or it's just going to look like they're reading lines they memorized off a piece of paper.
How about a director?
A director? Growing up, I watched a lot of Spielberg films, and I would say I respect him, but I think a director that probably, really, really influenced me would be Bryan Singer. His films have a lot of heart, and I feel that your film has to have heart because it gives it ground and it gives it legs to walk. And, for your film to take shape in a way like that because it has heart just means a lot to me as a director. You need to make your audience feel something. And again, that goes back to making my actors feel something by their dialogue and their acting.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mandy, for you, you broke in, you were doing modeling, and of course you did. You moved into acting. If you were to be able to talk to, someone who's breaking in and who really wants to know, what have I got to look forward to? What's the time? What's the effort? What would you tell someone that was breaking in and wanted to be an aspiring actress?
You really got to put yourself out there and really accept the roles. Get out there, talk to people, network, talk to other actors and actresses who've been in the industry for a while. Get some tips and pointers. The more experience you can get, the better. Walking onto a set where you know nobody, I've done that multiple times, and it's nerve-wracking, but once you do it a few times and you're comfortable, you really start to become more confident in yourself and your acting abilities. Well, I'm trying to think what else. That's a hard question. It's a hard industry when you're...
Oh, please, Ryan.
Oh, I was just going to add on to what Mandy said. I think what she said was beautiful, and I think that any up-and-coming individual, actors, whatever, everybody needs to remember where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
And, always, when you come in fresh-faced and humble, you can learn lessons and, figure out how things work and not get taken advantage of, but always remain humble and, just don't lose your heart.
Yeah. You have to love it.
I agree on.
The first, yeah.
No, go ahead, please.
Sure. You have to love it. I mean, when it starts becoming, if you start feeling like it's a job and it's a burden, it's not fun anymore, and you're not going to give your best performance. You always have to have fun with it. Work to your best ability. Put yourself out there. Always try to grow and learn. But at the same time, make sure you're having fun doing it. Otherwise, they'll see that on camera.
Oh, no, one of the biggest things I've always said, and I truly believe this, it doesn't matter if it's one film, it doesn't matter if it's 100 films. Anytime you walk onto a film set, you can learn something new from anybody. You know, you don't...
And if you... I'm sorry, I was just saying, if you don't learn anything new, then you did something wrong, and I have always said that, have I not, Amanda?
Always, yes.
Well, it's the truth, and and it's not just actors and the directors. The people that do craft services, the guys that set up the lights. The little gopher guy who runs around and just fetches everything. The jack of all trades guys. You can never discount what you can learn from anybody on a set. It doesn't matter what their role is or how many times they've done it. You're right. When you're Go ahead. I bet you we were going to say the same thing. Go right ahead.
When you're an up-and-coming, you just need to be a sponge. Every time you're on set, just watch and learn and absorb everything. And take that experience with you to the next set and absorb more and just keep growing.
I agree.
Very true.
I mean, it is very true. We got about 10 minutes left, so what I wanted to ask you, Ryan, was, of course, we know now that the film is going to be a feature-length project. For you, is there any intimidation factor moving up to that? And what are you looking to do with the film that you haven't done in your previous work? And what I mean by that is, like, are you going to be using newer cameras? Do you have just different thought processes on how you're going to do things? What are you looking
of course,
to set?
yes. Definitely different thought process for sure. As far as the cameras and things go, I'm not really at liberty to mention that, but I will say that I think people will be more than satisfied. What I plan to do with the film, and this is something that does not scare me about doing this, is I had a discussion with a fellow filmmaker here in my area, and he told me that my main issue was that I had no sense of marketability when it came to my films. And so I took that and I kind of went away and thought about it, and I understood what he meant. And, these women, these three characters, they're very marketable, Frankie, Camille, and Elaine. And, I mean, I just feel like this movie will be a kind of a reverse exploitation film where the women are the strong, smart characters and the men are, the idiotic pieces of me. And I just want men to watch this and kind of squirm, and I want the girls to watch it and be rooting these chicks on. And that's just always been my vision for this. And, it couldn't come at a greater time. Females are more powerful in the world and in film than they ever were before. And I think that it would be and it will be extremely well received.
Well, and you remember, I've had Christy Faulkner on a couple times, and we've talked about that segment, and she always, came across as, the characters were empowered females, and with the things they were doing, and it was great to hear that. Now, Mandy, now that I've got you here for that as well, that was kind of where I was going with the Jamie Lee Curtis question was, her portrayal of her character, yes, in a way she was a victim, but she became powerful at the end. She took control of the situation. With what you guys are getting ready to do, you guys are you're in the power. You have all of that at your hand. And when I was asking about what you thought about roles that are typical for women in the horror genre, kind of talk about being in that powerful role where, your character has the power and talk about how that appeals to you as an actress.
Before Amanda answers, and I apologize for interjecting, I actually have to get into work. I got called in this evening. I was not supposed to be on, so I have to get into work. But I wanted to go ahead and jump off here and say thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem, brother.
For
you're
exiting
always
so early. All right.
It's quite all right.
Well,
I think Mandy and I can cover the last 10 minutes, man. Thanks for coming on, though.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, and enjoy the rest of your time, guys.
Will do, man. Take it easy.
Bye.
But yeah, from your perspective, because Christy spoke very highly of the original one, and she was just a treat to have on, and the the way that she talks about the role and how it felt to her.
Yeah, my character that I play, Frankie, is she's the ringleader of the three girls, and you'll see that I think come out a lot more in the feature length film. The girls are just they're like we said, they're empowered women, and I think that's becoming more of a thing now. You see Celine from Underworld. She kicks ass, and she's sexy and beautiful, but she's still strong. And I think that's becoming, a lot of women are looking up to that. Women kind of need that portrayal, because for so many years, you see the girls are just the victims, and they scream, and then we die. And so to see that kind of turned around to where we're the ones at the end with the power, and I think it's needed right now. I think it's a great change, and it's something women can watch and be like, yeah, I'm okay with that. That's awesome. I'm rooting for these girls, even though they're killing everybody. they're still strong, and it's a good motivator for women, I think, not to kill people, but kind of have confidence and bring that strength into yourself.
Now, they say there's never a dumb question, but, to me, even having to ask this question to me sounds kind of dumb, but I'll go ahead and do it. Society has certainly become a lot more PC in this day. You kind of have to be careful with what kind of ground that you tread on. And, we now have the reversal in the genre where the woman is in power. The woman is doing the murdering. She's doing the mutilation. The whole reverse sexism argument.
Yeah.
And you hear, and the thing is that you hear people complain, well, it's gone on too far. Women are the killers in horror movies. Blah blah blah. You hear all that crap. And you talk about how it's empowering, and I agree with you 100%. I think it brings a nice breath of fresh air. The first movie that ever really did that for me was High Tension. I thought that was extremely well done with the twist and everything, and it still took about 10 years before films really started to catch up to that. What are your thoughts on people who are now complaining that women are the killers? Women are the ones being portrayed as the evil monsters in film. Does that strike you as ironic now that the time has come and the balance of power is equal? Now people are complaining that, oh, well, she's not the victim now, she's the murderer.
And I think you're going to have that in any situation. I think it's an equality thing. Like now the women are becoming the equals in the horror industry. And it's like that saying, you could be the ripest, juiciest peach on the tree. There's still going to be somebody that doesn't like peaches. It's just not for everybody. And I understand that. But I think, it's about equality. There's the men in the horror movies, killers. Now you've got the women. It's a balance.
I think it's about time. We need more.
We do.
Yeah, we need more female killers, I'm all for it.
I'm all for it.
Well, do you have any other projects coming up? Do you have a dream? If you had a dream project, what would it be? Who would you like to work with?
Any actor?
Open it up. If you had a dream project, horror or otherwise, what would you want to do?
Ultimately, does they have to be dead or alive? Can they be dead?
I suppose.
Can the actor be? Okay. My dream project would have been to have worked with Bela Lugosi. I'm sorry, I love Bella. A celebrity now, I would have to say, if I could work, it's probably Johnny Depp, but in a horror movie. I like him in more of his sort of sadistic roles. I enjoy that. I'm trying to think. I love Bela Lugosi and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. That's probably my favorite. Projects I have coming up. I did film another feature this year called The Brave Souls Who Fought Against the Vampire Slave Women.
Interesting. What can you tell us about that one?
The Brave Souls it's a film by Conrad Films, and this was a feature-length film that was completely improv. So that was...
Oh, okay.
I walked onto that set. I didn't know anybody, and there was basically no script. You had your outline of, what was going to happen in this scene, and it was improv. It was it turned out amazing. I can't wait for this to come out in 2015. But it's about a group of guys that are getting ready. They're on their summer break, and they hear about a sorority house that may be running a brothel. But the brothel may or may not be involved with killer vampire women. And then the story unfolds. Yeah, it's a great story. It's the first time I got to work with a stunt coordinator, so that was awesome.
A lot of stunt choreography involved in that one?
Yeah, there was some stunt choreography involved, and it was so fun. I had pneumonia when we filmed, but you know what? That's okay. I had a blast.
Any other projects? Do you want to tell people about where you're at on social media, if they want to follow you, if anyone out there wants to contact you for a film or a project? Sure.
I can be found on Facebook under Mandy Lou. It's MandyLou. Instagram and Twitter, I'm MandyLou_43. And then I do have my email if anybody is interested in contacting me for auditions or things like that. I can give you my email address as well, or if you just want to throw it up online, that's fine. Either way, I can give it now.
You can give it now if you want. Like I said, there are people listening, so.
Okay, don't laugh at my email address, but it is Hula Hooper, HULAHOOPER _01 @yahoo.com. Yes, it's Hula Hooper.
That's unique. See, you'll never forget something like that. I like that.
You don't forget something like that. Yeah, I won a couple hula hooping awards back in the day, and it's kind of stuck.
You can put that on your resume.
I should put that under special skills, right there.
You never know. Well, Mandy Lou, it was so great having you on. I would definitely love to have you on again. We should definitely run a new interview for Horror Society. I know the fans would love to read a little bit more about what's going on with you.
Oh, definitely.
I wish you all the luck working with Ryan. And if things go through, who knows? I may wind up on set because he has talked to me about doing effects work for him. So.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That would be pretty cool. I would love to do something with you guys. So, once again, thanks for coming on. If you ever have any more news, please drop me a line and let me know, and I'll get it up on Horror Society.
All right. Thank you very much.
Anytime. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, that was actress Mandy Lou. And a little bit before that, producer and director Ryan Stacy had to run into work, but he joined us as well. We talked about the new Ladies' Night project possibly and some of their previous work. So, coming up in a few minutes, we're going to have our Scream Factory Blu-ray review of The Dark Half. But before that, we're going to go into our last shot of Metal Blade music. We're going to open this up with Behemoth from the CD The Satanist. The song is Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel. Just heard Cannibal Corpse off of their most recent CD, A Skeletal Domain. The song was The Murderer's Pact. We opened up that set with Behemoth from The Satanist, the song Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel. Lots of great metal tonight, especially from our friends at Metal Blade. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time. It's that time for some digital dismemberment.
Digital dismemberment.
And in our second digital dismemberment spotlight for the evening, we are going to be talking about Scream Factory's Blu-ray release of George A. Romero's The Dark Half. Based on the best-selling book by Stephen King, The Dark Half tells the story of horror writer Thad Beaumont, played by Timothy Hutton, who hopes to distance himself from his murder novels and from George Stark, the name he has used to anonymously author them. To achieve this, he cooks up a murder of his own, a publicity stunt that should lay Stark to rest forever. But when the people around him are found gruesomely slain, and his own fingerprints dot the crime scenes, Beaumont is dumbfounded until he learns that Stark has taken on a life of his own and begun a gruesome quest for vengeance. The Dark Half stars Timothy Hutton, Amy Madigan, Michael Rooker, and Julie Harris. Like I said, a film that I haven't seen in years, and a film I think that is quite often overlooked in George Romero's canon of films. Of course, based off of the book by Stephen King, which I've read and thoroughly enjoyed, it kind of is like that, as it said in the movie, that Jekyll and Hyde mentality. You kind of have both sides of a man. And the interesting perspective that the movie shows, you know, of the tumor in his head, where he was supposed to be a twin, and the fetus was basically absorbed by the body, and that the writing all of these years has basically made his brother come back, or has made Stark come back. There's plenty of blood in the film, nothing that's overtly gross or violent, but the ending scene can be a little intense depending on the age of the viewer. There really is a lot to like in terms of the special features. There's a new audio commentary with writer-director George Romero that I found quite entertaining. There's the new featurette, The Sparrows Are Flying Again, The Making of the Dark Half. And it's an all-new retrospective with writer-director George Romero, producer Declan Baldwin, actors Michael Rooker, Robert Joy, Britannia Alda, and John Amplis, composer Chris Young, special makeup effects creators John Bullich and Everett Morrell, visual effects supervisor Kevin Favern, second unit director Tom Dubinsky, and editor Pasquale Buba. It's about a 37-minute long feature. But you find out a lot of interesting things about the film. George talks about adapting the film from Stephen's book and the collaboration between the two of them. One of the things that I found interesting was a bit moment with one of the producers, and the film's original running time had come in around the 3-hour mark. Of course, if you've read the book, there's certainly a large amount of detail that didn't make it in. So it would have been very interesting to see what the cut footage was that George had shot and did not make it into the final edition of the film. something else that was really nice about the film, I thought Timothy Hutton played his role well, but the character that intrigued me was seeing Michael Rooker. Again, most of my experience, this was the first time I had seen him in something that was not, Mallrats or Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. So I'm always interested whenever I get to see Michael Rooker play another role, whether it's the badass or it's the, a little bit more of a dramatic role. I thought it was interesting, too, when they spoke with the special effects artists, or the makeup effects creators, John Woolwich and Everett Burrell, and they talked with the visual effects supervisor, Kevin Cutchaver. Talk about how a lot of the technology that they used to make in the film was brand new at the time, especially the use of the CG for the birds at the end, which was used for bats in another film. And, that, I really feel like that's the only part of the film that really doesn't stand up upon watching, especially with the transfer to Blu-ray, is the scene at the end where the birds are carrying away the parts and basically the soul and life essence of George Stark. Excuse me, you can definitely tell that that's a project of CG and it stands out. But other than that, the particular sequence where George is attacked by the birds is quite gruesome and is actually covered nicely in some of the other special features that are involved with the Blu-ray. Not only do you get some deleted scenes, but you get some animated storyboards for the original ending. There's the behind-the-scenes footage of the special effects and on the set. And in the special effects, you see different variations of how Stark dies at the end of the film in collaboration with the birds and everything. Overall, I thought it was a very, dramatic film. I think it's one of the more slickly done Romero films. You can tell that he definitely had a budget and he had a little bit of star power for it. Included also with the special features is a vintage making of The Dark Half, plus there's additional interview clips from several of the cast and crew. There's the theatrical trailer, the TV spot, and the still gallery as well. So overall, I really think Scream Factory did a really good job of getting all of the information and the footage for the disc and giving us, like I said, a rare glimpse of the film that I feel like a lot of people have overlooked in George's canon. While I certainly will not rate it as high as some of his earlier zombie work, I would give The Dark Half about a 7 out of 10. The concept is very interesting. I like the choice in actors. Like I said, there was a good choice of blood. Just a little bit out of my tone, but really well done and definitely worth checking out. The overall as a disc, I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. Scream Factory really did a good job of incorporating a lot of the old stuff with the new. Again, having a new audio commentary with George Romero is always nice. I think we should try and get as many of those as we can while we still have the man with us. And I really like the behind-the-scenes featurette. I really feel like it opened up. And like I said, to know now, after all these years, that there was a lot more footage for the film, that was cut out, almost an hour, it would be interesting to see one day, if ever, any of that footage was found, restored, and put back on. So you can always head over to www.shoutfactory.com or Scream Factory and pick it up from them. You should, with the Christmas season being here, be able to go to your local big box retailer like a Best Buy, possibly Walmart, and pick up a copy of this. You can always go online and get it from Amazon.com or any online retailer that you choose to do your purchasing with. So certainly worth picking up. Well, it's been a great week once again, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say thank you to my main guests, producer and director Ryan Stacy and actress Mandy Lou, for coming on, talking about their work on Midsummer Nightmares and Watch This. We also got to speak to Mandy Lou a bit about the Babysitter Murders and some of the other projects that they have coming up together. So hopefully we'll be hearing again from them very soon in the future. I want to say thank you to my friends out at Scream Factory, Tom Chen and Sarah DeBrune, for sending out our copy of The Dark Half for a review. Thank you to our friends at Lionsgate for putting out the Blu-ray edition of House of a Thousand Corpses by Rob Zombie. I want to say thank you to our friends also out at Metal Blade for sending along such great metal music for us to listen to this evening. Such bands as Cannibal Corpse, Behemoth, Anthropomorphia, Amon Amarth, Aeon and Rivers of Nihil. Next week, we will have another great show right before Christmas. We have a young Scream Queen who's going to come on. I don't want to spill the beans just yet, but needless to say, it will be a good show. I want to say happy holidays to all of those out there. And once again, make sure to check out the upcoming issue of Living Dead magazine. The Dead Man himself will be doing a retrospective on House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects, as well as a small piece interview with Bill Moseley and the DVD review of Death by VHS. So until next week, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Dead Man signing off, telling you all to rest in peace.